Hello, welcome back to School Age Child Development. We're going to finish up our lecture on cognitive development. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, you should be seeing that PowerPoint now. So we're going to continue on. We finished up in the last lecture discussing language development a little bit. Now we're going to work on children's learning in school, and we're starting off with talking about educational philosophies. In traditional classrooms, the teacher is the sole authority. What the teacher says goes. In constructivist classrooms, children are active agents who reflect on and coordinate their own thoughts rather than absorbing those of others. So they're really engaged in learning more about what they're interested in. That doesn't mean that the teacher has no role or that they're only a facilitator. They definitely set up the instruction, they set up the plans, the activities, things like that, but they give children a little bit more say in how they go about learning what they're required to learn. Um, Recent philosophical directions, the social constructivist classroom has children jointly constructing understanding with the teachers and peers. So there's a lot of conversation, a lot of back and forth um, discussions. Reciprocal teaching, the group questions, summarize, clarify, predict in cooperative dialogues. So there's a lot of discussion, but there's some of that scientific method going on there too. But it's done through like group learning. And then communities of learners, the adult and child contributors define and resolve problems. So we look at the problem with the children. And if the problem is not understanding a topic, then we can talk to the child about what can we do to help them understand, things like that. Signs of high quality education in elementary school. The physical setting is divided into richly equipped activity centers. So it's not just desks and chairs and that's it. There's some actual centers for activities that would in a way be similar to what we see in a preschool room, but it would be developmentally and age appropriate centers so that it would look very different than those preschool centers. It would have materials and activities that would be more suitable for older age groups. Curriculum helps children achieve standards and make sense of their learning. So it's important that we do have a planned curriculum that we use, whether that's one of the canned curriculums that we buy or whether that's something that we as a teacher develop, right? Daily activities encourage cooperative learning. Teachers foster progress with intellectually engaging strategies and demonstrate, explain, coach, assist, the things that we typically would see as a teacher's job, right? Regular evaluations of progress help children reflect on their work and decide how to improve it. And more so than just the quarterly parent-teacher conferences or once a semester conference, right? We really need to look at that more often, more in depth, and include the children in with that so that they know where they are and they can determine where they would like to be as well. The teachers forge the partnerships with parents. I don't think any of that surprises anyone, does it? If it does, if you have questions, be sure you let me know. Teacher-student interaction, educational self-fulfilling prophecies. So children may adopt the teacher's positive or negative views and start to live up to them. If we think a child is a naughty child and they're never going to be smart enough to do this activity or they're never going to be good enough, the child will start to believe that, right? Hopefully none of us will ever do that. But something to kind of think about, right? We always want to make sure that we're being positive and encouraging them to be positive about their own abilities as well. Teacher expectations have a greater impact on low achieving students than they do on high achieving students. So if we set the bar low, then that's all that the children will strive for, right? We need to set that bar high. We need to set our expectations high and help our children understand that not only is that our expectation, but we know that they can achieve that higher goal, okay? Academic stereotypes about ethnic minority students have self-fulfilling effects on their behavior as well. Child in the position of confirming a negative stereotype may respond with especially intense anxiety, reduced motivation, amplifying a negative self-fulfilling prophecy. So those are things we want to avoid. We always want to stay positive and make sure that children are feeling that positivity from us and that they are understanding that we know that they can achieve great things in our classroom. The homogeneous groups or classes can be a potent source of self-fulfilling prophecies. Heterogeneous learning contexts can reduce achievement differences between socioeconomic status groups and ethnic minority and majority students. So we just need to be mindful of that as we're teaching. For collaboration between heterogeneous peers to succeed, children need extensive training and guidance in cooperative learning. And that's part of our jobs as teachers as well, right? To guide them and help them understand how to work with others, how to learn with others. Small groups work toward a common goal. Classmates consider one another's ideas, they challenge one another, they correct misunderstandings, and they resolve differences of opinion. And so that would be a goal for us to strive for as teachers, is to get our classroom to operate in such a well structured way. Racial segregation in U.S. schools has intensified. Inner city schools are vastly disadvantaged in funding and educational opportunities. Magnet schools offer the usual curriculum plus an emphasis on a specific area of interest, such as the performing arts. So they're more specified, or they cater more to children's particular interests or the parents' interests for the child sometimes. Research suggests higher achievement in reading and math achievement for low socioeconomic status ethnic minority students when they are able to attend those magnet schools. So when they're able to go to a school that lets them focus on their interests as well as the other expected parts of the curriculum. Computers and internet access are integrated into schools in industrialized nations. We see that all the time. Younger and younger children are being assigned a computer that they basically check out at the beginning of the year and keep it and use it for their work throughout the year. Interactive screen media use is associated with academic progress. Word processing, computer programming, searching the web are all linked to gains. Please keep in mind that we're talking about middle school or middle-aged children, school-aged children, not our younger children, okay? Non-violent video gameplay also has cognitive benefits. Digital divides persist. Girls and low socioeconomic status students need increased opportunities to benefit from the positive aspects of screen media technology. Keeping in mind that we still need to have control over their time spent with those devices. Learning disabilities is a great difficulty with one or more aspects of learning, usually reading, not always, but reading has, there's a lot of things going on cognitively with reading that can show itself once children are learning to read, trying to begin to read, and they're showing some difficulty. That's when we may catch some of those developmental delays that we may have missed in their early years, because it just becomes more evident when they're trying to learn to read. In inclusive classrooms, learning disabled children learn alongside typically developing children. Students with mild intellectual disability are sometimes integrated. Some students experience full inclusion. If steps are taken to promote positive peer relationships, inclusion can foster pro-social behavior. It can be a really good thing. Some students do not benefit from inclusion. The achievement gains depend on both the severity of the disability and the support services available. So if we don't have the proper services available, that can be detrimental to the child as well. A gifted child would be one displaying exceptional intellectual strengths, creativities, producing work that's original yet appropriate. Divergent thinking, generation of multiple possibilities when faced with a task or problem. So they don't just think of this one problem that they've learned or this one solution and they use that same solution over and over. They broaden their thinking and they come up with multiple solutions, outside the box type thinking. Convergent thinking is arriving at a single correct answer, emphasized with intelligent tests. There's one right answer. Okay. Talent is outstanding performance in a specific field. Fewer than half the states in the US mandate gifted programs, and only a few fully fund them. If not sufficiently challenged, gifted students may lose their drive to excel. And we may see stronger behavioral issues from these children because they are bored. All right, so here's just a kind of a fun visual here that can be helpful. Just looking at the differences between convergent thinkers and divergent thinkers. And this is in your PowerPoint, so you can look through that there. How well educated are US children? US students fall behind those of many other developed nations in academic accomplishments. They typically perform at or below international averages. Instruction in the US is less challenging and more fact-focused, with less opportunity for high-level reasoning and critical thinking. Large socioeconomic inequalities are associated with lower achievement. Factors that affect educational qualities include societal values, school resources, teaching quality, and the level of parental support. And I don't think any of those are surprising to hear. Recommended strategies for improving US education: support parents in attaining economic security, creating stimulating home environments, monitoring children's academic progress, and communicating with teachers. And we can do that as teachers by developing those good, positive relationships with the parents. Invest in high quality preschool education so every child arrives at school ready to learn. Strengthen teacher education. Provide intellectually challenging, relevant instruction with real world applications. So we're learning this in class. How does that apply to the real world, right? Children need to understand why they're learning what they're learning. Why is it important? Why does it matter? And then that will help them focus more and be able to learn what they know they need to because they know why. Vigorously pursue school improvements that reduce inequalities in the quality of education between socioeconomic status and ethnic groups. So just evening it across the board for children, regardless of where their background is, regardless of where they're coming from. Okay. All right. What questions do you have at this point? Please do email me. Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to chat with you in messages. We can meet. You can stop by my office. We can set up a Zoom appointment if you want to chat. Okay. But be sure if you have questions that you're asking those and getting them answered so that you can do well on the assignments and learn what you need to from this class. Okay. All right. That's it for this week. Have a great week and we'll see you next week.